entrepreneurs, are you ready to fast track your business success? Tune into the Ground Up Podcast, your ultimate business guide, brought to you by Roy Mangrum and Terry Bargy. Whether you're just starting out or looking to skip those common business pitfalls, we've got you covered. Our mission is to help everyday entrepreneurs like you achieve stability and success faster than ever. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the Ground Up Podcast today, and let's build your business from the ground up. Available on all major streaming platforms. Don't miss it.
What's going on, Fit Fam? We are back. Oh, man. You guys miss so much of the good stuff that we talk about off camera. But we are back in today's episode. Like always, we are in our Game Day Men's Health Studio. Today is brought to you by the good people who are over at Clean Eats. Clean Eats, where you can meal prep or you can just go buy lunch or dinner.
I had lunch there yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah,
was it delicious?
It was delicious.
No?
Yeah, I got
first of all, I'm Gerell Webb. This is...
Hi, I'm Sav.
There you go. And, and apparently Sav had lunch at Clean Eats. So tell us about...
Honestly, too, I got their... they have coffee drinks, and I had no idea until I went in the store. And I think it's new. I could be wrong about that, but I got a caramel macchiato.
What?
And I never get those.
Okay.
It was so good. It had 20 grams of protein in it.
Yeah. How much
for
sugar?
Like that I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was delicious. Yeah. And
of course it was.
I was like, treat yourself.
Of course it was. Yeah, treat yourself. I was like, treat yourself.
But the food is so good too. Like they don't.
No, the food is good.
They'll make the food like hot for you, like fresh, like a restaurant, or you can like check out all their freezers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were having a team meeting there. So they were like, NFL team, what's up? And they treated us real good.
The NFL team had a...
I wish I was on the NFL team.
NFL team, and I wasn't there for lunch. Good to know.
It was really a meeting,
check my text.
like a Terry's been like a mentor of mine since before he started the magazine or bought the magazine. So we're having like a
mentor.
Yeah. It was like
funny,
a lot of things about life and stuff.
It's funny because Terry has never mentored me, but
well, I kind of just gave him that title. He never said like let me.
I'm gonna bring you in here, Jeff, in a second, but I feel like
he never said I'm gonna be your mentor. I just decided that he was.
You should have made that decision.
I'm learning so much here. I'm learning so much here, Jeff. There's secret meetings that they're having about it.
We always talk about you.
Apparently mentorships.
You didn't want any more responsibility.
That's true. Okay, touche.
Anyway, back to Clean Eats. They took great care of us.
Never mind, Jeff, about our meeting. We'll.
If you haven't been to Clean Eats, you should check it out though, because it's really clutch, especially if you don't like to cook or you just don't have time to cook, or like you're like me and it's like I like to cook, but when there's other people, but I live alone, so. Clean Eats.
Terry's giving me the look that they didn't pay for that ad, so we're gonna have to.
Oh, I'm
just playing. I'm totally kidding. She's like,
I just like them.
Got cut all that out because they didn't pay for that part.
I don't get paid for any of the things I like represent on Instagram, but I like the things.
Catch me up, Sav. What's been going on in your world?
Well, I moved.
You moved.
Into like a little bit closer to town. Okay. And I love it. I'm so happy that I don't have to commute to work every day.
You walk? You're walking
I can.
distance?
Yeah, I'm in walking distance from where I work.
Where you work? Yeah, we're not going to put you out there, but good job. You almost was like, but we don't want...
I don't really want people to know.
Yeah, we don't want people popping up.
I don't know who out there
Hey, you never know.
Wants to hurt me. So.
Maybe they don't want to hurt you. Probably they want to love you.
Maybe that, but that's also weird. You don't need to know where I live to love me. That's probably worse. Way worse.
I've seen enough oxygen
just popping up. Yeah, just right. Just popping
I haven't ever had a stalker, but I've like had scary things happen with people. So it's happened to a lot of women.
Have a question. Mm-hmm. How do girls like talk to girls?
Like
if there's a girl out there that's like, man, Sav is gorgeous. Do you guys call each other gorgeous?
Please tell me, because
I don't know. What happens? And then do you just like, is it a DM slide? Is it like in person, like a guy who like will walk up to like
you would? I mean,
just like okay.
I've also observed like women hitting on women. I personally feel like I have to just be direct and be like, hey, listen, I don't know if you're into it, but I would love to take you to dinner sometime or something like that. Because if I don't make it clear, it's like I could be talking to a straight girl and she might not be getting the hint.
Yeah.
So usually what happens if they're straight or they're not into me, like I've learned to take rejection well because of that. And a lot of the time, like, they are straight or just not into me. So they'll politely say like, oh my God, I'm so flattered, but like, I'm into guys. And I have no issue with that. And I've become friends with girls that I've hit on like that, but I've seen the whole like, hey girl, you know, like, I don't do that.
You don't do that? You don't do the hand rub?
No.
Like,
No.
No. You have a go-to line?
No.
You don't have a go-to line? Like, hey,
No, I'm just like, hey.
did it hurt? Never? No?
No, it just doesn't come naturally to me. Like, I'm a very romantic person, but like, I'm not a fake person. And a lot of that stuff doesn't work when guys do it with women.
It's all about the smile. If I can get you to smile.
You gotta be just yourself.
Well, sometimes.
Welcome to Game Day Men's Health in Green Hills in Nashville, Tennessee. We are a men's health clinic. We're doing a lot with testosterone replacement therapy. So welcome to our clinic. What you'll be able to do is get your blood work. We'll send it back to our in-house labs. We'll test your total testosterone, your PSA, and then your H&H as well. So we'll get those results within about that 20-25 minute mark. You'll be able to sit down with our licensed clinician and go over your results. We do a lot with medical weight loss, vitamin injections, and we have a few ED services as well. And then we also do a lot with peptide therapy as well. And it is something that you want to move forward with if it makes sense. You should be in and out in about 45 minutes.
If you're not a creep.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
Sometimes me and Jeff will just sit over here and flex though, and just like I'll sit right here for long enough. And if I catch
That
you
only goes so
looking-
far though.
Do you give them like
Your
blue
wife, I
steel when they
know,
look at you, or
tested
like-
you.
You gotta give them the. We call it in the black community light skin eyes. This is
Oh,
squint.
nice. Yes. Okay.
You know, a great way to
squint,
go
huh?
about it is to be around that person and like drop subtle hints. You know, like if you have a gym crush, it's like,
like,
don't
what's a
hit on
subtle
somebody
hint?
at the gym.
Okay.
Do you just drop weight next to him?
Hold
Be
on.
like,
No, you just smile.
Oh, okay.
Hold
You
on.
just like make eye contact and smile.
We're gonna jump into the podcast here, and I know we have to get into the basketball debate.
Yeah.
Here's my. I don't know what you have over there. Here's my debate topic,
Okay.
which is on topic, and you can.
We do have a basket.
We're here with, first of all, we're here with Jeff Black, who's arguably has a better beard than Terry.
Yeah, let's talk about Jeff.
But
Not my
before we
dating
jump
life.
into Jeff and your story, here's my question: is it okay to approach someone at the gym, romantically approach?
No.
You say no, Jeff.
As a gym owner, I see it happen all the time.
So is it yes?
Does it ever work?
Does
I
it?
see
Oh, does
some
it ever work?
romances happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can be a little young and the restless, a little
young,
days of our life ish, depending upon
Definitely gets
where people are going. But
Yeah.
I think if love, then who are you going to be able to stop that? And
How
depending
can
upon
you
where.
how
Okay.
can you approach someone without it being creepy at the gym?
Oh, now that is a skill in itself.
Like I
my
see-
man. Like,
I just think it has to
that's
like
a class.
it has to be matching energy.
Because you gotta get timing.
with a tripod.
Yeah.
And like we really have to get down.
Yeah, you got to get timing because I can't walk up the side of the middle of her front squat. It's like, yo,
I'm just not in that mindset
right, but I am.
to date.
So you
Like,
go to the
like,
gym,
you know what I'm saying? If
you
I
go to the
see
gym
you,
and you're like,
I don't.
"Hello,
I
missus."
know. Where's my camera? Is this my? I am.
hope that's your
I'm
camera.
happily married.
Right.
I just want you guys to know, babe. I'll see you later. I'm saying like I was speaking as if like if I see Sav,
Right.
and I'm like, yo, she's attractive, and we know if even if I'm
Thank
visiting
you.
your gym, maybe I'm not coming back, or maybe I don't go to the gym all the time, or maybe we don't. It's 9:00. I'm usually not here at 9:00, so I may never see you again.
Sure.
I gotta shoot my shot. When is the right time to shoot my shot? Following you out is creepy. So I can't say wait till after the workout because then I'm walking you out and you're like, sir, no, right? Can't stop you in
Yeah.
the middle of your workout because like you said, like you're dialed in. Like I see you're dialed in.
Yeah.
But do I say, hey, you want me to squat you?
I'm
on
trying to
those
think of
front
like
squats?
what would work for me if I was in the middle of my workout because I talk about this with other women
Okay.
because it happens all the time still. And then we literally have said like, why do guys like not like still try this? Like, I think approach matters. So I'm trying to think of, and guys aren't hitting on me at the gym. I give off a vibe. But if one was to hit on me,
Or what if a girl hit on you? When would be the right time?
Airdrop a meme.
Airdrop, so, man. That's
if you're okay, like if you know gym etiquette and like if you were to walk in front of me while I'm squatting or something, I'd be pissed and I'd be like, I can't date you because you just walked in front of me while I'm squatting. You know,
Yeah, you cut the mirror.
or you like started putting plates on like right in my space or something.
Kind of nicely bending over in front of you, like just putting this.
I typically
right
can let
here.
those things go, but if you're about to hit on me, like it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But what if it's like I think it'd be really smooth because people are in the zone. They're dialed in at the gym, right? They don't want to be bothered. I usually hate when someone is like, you know, trying to talk to me. I'm like, hi, what do you want? What if you like slipped a note with your phone number on it or your Instagram or something? And then they can do with that what they will. What's not weird about that?
Would that work on you, Sav?
If I thought she was attractive.
So that's
and she was like,
so I think
I'd be like,
that's
that's smooth.
I think
like I'd be
that's the
flattered.
thing. So I heard on another. I don't know if you guys know who Lala Anthony is, right? No. She's a actor. She used to be married to Carmelo Anthony, and so someone asked her, like, her son plays basketball as well. She's like, is it okay if a guy approaches you at the game, right? And she was like, is it appropriate? Is what they asked her. And she was like, at one of your son's game, and she was like, you know, if I'm being honest, like for women, if he's attractive, I'm attracted to him. It doesn't matter when you approach me because I'm into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I'm not into you, it can be the perfect setting, and I'm still not gonna talk to you. She's like, I may not spend a lot of time, but if my son is playing, and you walk up to me and sit down, and I'm attracted to you, I'm gonna give you some play. Maybe like, hey, here's my number. I'll catch up with you after the game. So I think the same thing at the gym.
I think
like if you're attractive, like first, like we're gonna have to catch eyes. I'm gonna have to try to catch you so you know that I know that you know that I'm looking at you. Right. After that, most girls will kind of give you that turnaround. Like we call odds, and it's kind of like, and then I'm going to try to, okay, I got her. Now I just need to figure out when I should go talk to her because it can't be in the middle of a set.
I just have a different perspective. I agree with you, but I think where my head is at, as far as like I also work at a gym. And I work out at the gym that I work at. And for example, there was a girl working out right in front of me, like directly my eyes. She's doing RDLs in front of me. So she's sticking her butt out.
They're worse.
And I'm also a coach. So it's really important to me.
Just go fix a form?
I was like, if I could go somewhere else, I would. But like, I just don't want to look in her direction because I don't want to give off any vibe that I am like, you know, what's the word? Fraternizing at the gym. Yeah. Just because I like to keep it professional.
Right.
I'm also, you know, gay. So I don't get approached by men as much. And I hear from my straight friends what it's like to have straight men hit on them at the gym. Most of the time it's the approach. So if you're going to make eyes, make sure you're making eyes and you're not running your eyes up and down her body. Or like form correcting her or going, you need a spot. She probably doesn't want your spot. Like, but if you approach it like classy, and you're not doing it when she's leaving or going into the locker room or being like all like, you know, like I'm Mr. like, I already know I'm going to get her number or whatever. Like,
I mean, if I have a good pump though, she has to see it.
Sure, you might be talking to a girl who does not care that you have a good pump.
She can't not see the pump. Come on, this speed.
I mean, you're at the gym. You're at the gym. Right. She's probably going to notice it. But yeah, I do think like at the end of the day, you both have to be attracted to each other for it to be appropriate. And for it to be inappropriate, one person is just not attracted to the other person. Yeah. And
right,
you probably approached it weird.
We're going to jump into what we call the basket of debate. Now, this is pretty
That
famous.
got me sweating. I'm not going to lie.
That
was a swoop.
I personally feel like you handled that because I was just like, wow, he is really going hard right now.
All right, we're going to jump into what we call the basket of debate.
Okay.
It's going to be an open-ended question. And we'll just kind of debate it. We'll pass it around. You ready?
Oh, yeah. It's right here.
Yeah, you have it. So
here you go.
Sav, who are you thinking about over there? It's a girl at the gym.
No.
Sav, we got the basket sitting right here. She's like, oh, the basket. Yeah. About that. I guess I need to get that.
No, I'm just like actually reflecting back in my head what I said just to make sure I was like, okay.
Well, apparently,
I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea.
Jeff has a good one.
Story that popped in my
what
head.
you got? Let's go.
So I have driver's choice of music versus passenger's right to DJ who gets control.
Whose car?
That's first, right?
Like,
so
is it an
my
Uber?
car. No,
or
assuming
like I'm
your
just
car,
riding
you
with
pick
you.
up with someone.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's
got to be the driver.
It's driver's choice.
Now, back in my single years, in my 30s, I had a joke with my friends. I would pick up girls on a date listening to Cannibal Corpse and have it real low, and see how many songs it would take before the girl would ask me what exactly I was listening to. And most of the time it never got past 2. So I would, at that point, because I was on the date, let them control the car.
Gotcha.
Radio. So I feel like it's subjective, depends upon what you want the outcome to be.
So Jeff, for the black people in the room, what is Cannibal's Corpse?
It is an extreme death
I don't know
metal
either.
band.
Got you. Okay.
You
I
ever
was
seen
assuming
Ace
as much.
Ventura?
I don't like
Pet
to.
Detective?
Yes.
Okay, you know when he's going through it to the whale hunter people and the band's like,
Yeah.
and he's like headbanging? That's Cannibal Corpse. We need to go
Sick.
sometime. You and me want to go?
I would love to see
Jeff,
Gerell at
me-
a Cannibal Corpse
Jeff, let me be
concert.
very clear about something. There is one genre of music that I hate,
What?
and it is that. Like,
You want to go support me?
No, bro.
Really?
No, like it's a reason they use that.
I don't know. I think a mosh
They
pit
use
would be a
that for
good
torture.
outlet for you.
No, they use that for torture.
What are you talking
Like,
about?
what do you mean?
I can see Gerell
turn that
tearing
on,
up a
heavy
mosh
metal-
pit.
That is
I
crazy.
don't know, man. I
Bro,
feel
that
like
is-
if me and
No.
you worked out together, I put that in your ears,
We had
smack your back a few times, and you're off to the
I think you
races.
would
You're right,
equivocate it.
out of the gym.
Out of the
I
gym.
think you would. I think you would have fun in a mosh pit. I think
I
it
do
would be
think
a
he'd have the
huge outlet for
crowd
you.
surfing. I could see him crowd
I can see him
surfing.
punching guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you see what they're doing out there in the mosh pit?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't have the temperament.
You are
for a
pretty
mosh
and all,
pit.
but I do feel like you'd enjoy it.
I don't know. Look at your arms, man. Like you're
Yeah, I feel
built
like
to,
they'd
to
want
mosh.
to see you pump. You know how you want to show the girls you're pumping?
And you're
the
working
gym?
on your
Built to
mobility a
the
lot. I
max.
see.
The mobility? He'd be fine out there.
I know.
It'd be a good time.
Those guys would be like,
I guess
I don't want
my-
to mosh with this guy in
I
here.
guess my debate question killed
Yeah.
it real quick.
I mean,
I thought it was great.
I think it's driver's choice. Like if it's my car and I'm riding with you, if I get in your car, if you take me home, like give me a ride home, not take me home, but give me a ride home, right? He's like, I mean,
well, we're gonna listen to Cannibal Corpse if I'm taking you home.
The only thing about that,
I'm riding to Cannibal Corpse. I'm not gonna say it's like I guess that's what we're listening to. It's
The
your
only
car.
thing about that,
Like,
though-
I guess over here, like,
Against
bro,
the
we got
glass, like, I
5
hate
more
this.
minutes.
do you
and I'm
know
outta here.
people though who are like, okay, let me show you this song. Okay, let me show you this song, and then they're just constantly, and it's like annoying,
I have
and
not
you're
had
like,
that since high school.
okay, well, I can be like that, but then I am mindful of like, you know what, you want to pick the music, I'm driving, I don't care. You know, I don't want to annoy the crap out of you with my like music taste.
She's very nice. That's very, very
So I said,
polite.
man,
Oh, well, it also helps me get to know people. Like if I'm riding with somebody and I don't like drive people around a lot, but you know, if I'm riding with someone I don't know well, and my sister, you know, she has good music taste, so I was like, you know, hearing what people like to listen to.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'll stop it if I don't like it. I'll be like, hey, let's play something else.
All right, mine is beach versus mountains. Who has the better tan lines and bug bites?
That's a good question because when I climbed Kilimanjaro, I got sunburn real bad. But
I like the slight
it's
flex.
just
you did
my
there.
face.
I love the slight flex. Like, you know, when I that time I climbed Kilimanjaro.
Well, it's the only mountain
got
I've
pretty-
climbed.
well, you
and
know.
it's the only mountain I
you
can
didn't
think
have
of.
to stop, you didn't have to say that. You could have just stopped at that. Yeah. Because
Mount Juliet?
Mount Juliet.
that's where
Pretty high up.
right. So we get a lot of.
Well, I just thought about the time I was sunburned when you said tan lines. I
That
was
the only
like
time you've
pretty
been
bad.
sunburned? Oh, that's the worst time.
That was pretty awful tan lines.
Yeah.
You just said like what's
I'm
who
going
has
to be
better
honest
tan
with
lines?
you. Again, speaking for the black delegation, I didn't know that you got sunburn on mountains. So I was automatically like, man, that's a stupid question. Of course it's the beach, but apparently it's not because I've never climbed a mountain either. So
Well,
I'm going to
that
have
sun
to
was
go
right
with,
on top of me.
I mean, probably the higher you go, I can see.
But the tan lines were awful, so I would say beach.
beach. Okay.
Yeah, but there's no bugs on the beach.
They are.
Not that I've ever.
Sandflies.
They
gnats,
don't, I haven't
yeah.
really experienced bug problems.
That's a great thing.
But I didn't on Kilimanjaro either.
Okay.
I'm actually out on this.
out?
I assume at this
I don't
point,
know
either
what you got.
or would probably give me
Yeah.
lines that went like,
All right, big dog.
Okay. Last one. Which is the ultimate water park experience? The adrenaline pumping thrill of water slides or the relaxing drift of the lazy river? Neither. I hate water parks.
What?
why do you hate water parks? I mean, I
Right.
know a lot of
They
people
make me
poop in them
ill.
and stuff, but
That I already want to gag. Because
You
I've
already wanna
had that
gag on it?
experience. I was the girl that found the Band-Aid on her leg in the lazy river. But also the smell makes me ill every time. Like I always feel physically sick. I get a headache really bad. And yeah, the chlorine mixed with like the food, like the fried food and like people's bodies are everywhere and They're all in the same water. I don't know who's cleaning the water. I know that people poop in the water. There's a ton of kids. I don't know which kids are wearing diapers in this water. Lines, waiting. I hate it. I hate water parks. I've tried. My brother loved water parks, and we used to go. That's why it's a nightmare for me, because we had to, when we went to the beach, he was the youngest kid, and all the things me and my sister wanted to do, he didn't want to do. So we would always go to Big Kahuna for him. And we had to do it because it was fair. And I just hated going. But we went all the time when we were younger so that he would have fun. And I mean, I guess now, like, I would totally go to a water park if he was around, but yeah, I just always felt ill. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
I love water parks. I love
do
the
too.
water.
I'm glad someone enjoys that.
We should go to water park together.
Now, see, I'm there with you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm there with you.
You
I can
driving
do
or
that.
am I driving?
You go ahead.
I'm gonna drive.
I'll drop you off.
Based on your music history.
That's fine.
But I'm gonna go with water slides. I'm gonna like Lazy River is cool, but I'm gonna see. There we go.
Those hurt my back.
Those
little lines.
Yell at you as you're doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
who
too late,
cares?
brother. Yeah,
I don't know why.
Can't stop.
Every water slide, it's like those where they connect the slide together, the plastic pieces. I'm like, how is no one feeling this happening
Going
to
too
their
fast.
back? It hurts. Like,
Going too fast.
well, that's not my fault. I'm going down a water slide.
No, I'm saying like you don't feel it because you're going so fast. You just
I feel it.
do you?
Yeah, it stings. You know what I'm talking about.
It's
Terry's
just the
nodding.
water. Terry.
No,
She's
it's
like,
the connecting
no.
parts of the slide. It always drove me nuts.
I'm sorry, guys.
The only fun part is the end and the big splash in the pool.
Right, it's 3 seconds.
Yeah, but then I have to get out of the pool and let the next person come down.
Jeez.
Then I got to wait in line for an hour again. It's just no.
We are going to jump into Jeff and your story, Brittle to Unbreakable. Man, I think I love one. First of all, I love the title.
I do too.
The only thing I hate about this book so far is that you're wearing a UT hat in all of your pictures.
Come on, go Vols, baby.
Other than that, bro, like just reading the back of it and the title, man. Let's jump into the title. Where did you come up with Brittle to Unbreakable?
So I was riding down in Austin, Texas with a group. Scribe is the one who originally was going to publish my book, and we were going through, and I had it the title to be like Unbreakable, blah blah blah. And the guy goes, "Really, your story after I got to know you is you went from Brittle to Unbreakable." He goes, "You should call it that." And I was like, "Okay, that makes sense because the journey does do that."
Well, let's jump into your journey. Tell us a little bit about your story.
So I was born in 1980 with a brittle bone disease known as osteogenesis imperfecta. So it only affects 25,000 people in the U.S. It's extremely rare. You could think of it like this. When you all break bone, you get more cement behind the bone where it breaks. When I break there, I get less cement.
Damn.
So I'm more prone to breaking over and over. There's many different types. So I have type 4. It's moderate to severe. My COO, her son, has type 8. So example, she went over a speed bump not long ago and cracked a vertebrae in his back. Oh my God. That's how fragile he is. So you have all these different levels of it. And I was born breached. So in 1980, they didn't have the tech. There was no internet, so they pulled me out with forceps backwards. Wow. And when they did, they shattered my femurs and did not know that. So when you change a baby, what do you do when you change baby?
You lift their legs up.
Right. So my parents would do that, and I would scream like,
"Oh my God!" And you're a baby, so it's not like
so I couldn't communicate.
And they have no clue.
So my
do you have memory of that?
No.
Okay,
no.
I was gonna be like, wow, because I don't remember being a baby at all.
No, thank goodness. But my older sister was telling me about it. She's like, I remember like DCS asking us, like, did you drop them? This, that. And they finally sent me, because I was born in Joplin, Missouri, so small town. If you guys want to know, that's like Tornado Alley. Everything's wiped off the map there. Both my childhood homes are gone. I grew up with, it's really weird. But I got diagnosed at 6 weeks with this bone disease, and my femurs had already healed bowed. At that point. So I kind of grew up normal, and I thank the fact that I did not have the internet at the time when I was growing up, but I didn't really notice any different because, I present normal. I was typically in the middle of the height with everybody till I had my accident, and that was pretty much it. I was allowed to live this normal life up until about 8 years old. So
Yeah. And what happened at 8?
Yeah.
So I couldn't play football, which I love football more than anything. Couldn't play soccer. Nothing that could tangle my legs. But my parents let me play baseball and basketball, which was odd because nowadays that would never fly.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah, I
not,
know.
yeah.
So
That's hard too because, you're a kid. All those
Yeah.
things are,
and I don't think my mom knew because to her, she
sure?
was like, well, he runs, he does all these things. So I was playing baseball and I love that. And she got me a skateboard. And she was like,
even people without a bone disease that break bones.
So she was like, you can never leave the driveway. And I was like, sure. Okay. So then one day I snuck the skateboard out. We had a hill. When you're a kid, everything's huge. So we had this hill. We called it the super hill. Out of all the hills in the neighborhood in Knoxville, Tennessee, it was the steepest. I did not go down that hill until September of 2022. So I broke my leg June of 89 and over 30 years had passed before I could go down that hill. And I lived in that neighborhood for another 13, 14 years.
Wow.
So in comparison, when I went down it, I was going 30 miles in my car, 30 miles per hour in my car. So I can only imagine what I saw at 8 years old. So a kid double dog. And I went down standing up and the truth be told, I got scared and I jumped off. And when I did, my whole right femur completely shattered in 5 different places. I proceeded to get my leg dragged up underneath me. My back broke at L5, S1 forward. And when I came to, there was this guy, this adult, he was rubbing ice on my chest. And he was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, I didn't know, but I couldn't feel anything. So I looked down and I saw my right leg this way, my foot, and my right knee was rotated all the way in.
Oh my God.
So I knew at that point it wasn't good. But what was interesting, and when I wrote about it in my book, because I had to do a lot of therapy on the other side. Now, this is something where for decades, mental health wasn't talked about. So I went a long time in silence. I cannot remember the pain of all that, but I can remember the hot tar because they had tarred the neighborhood a few weeks before, asphalting it. So it's a June day, and I'm laying in the sun heat for 45 minutes on this, just waiting for an ambulance to come. So they're like
frying alive, with broken bones.
And then when they go to put you on the stretcher, they had misjudged how bad that leg was.
Oh, no.
When they picked me up, the whole fracture just fell up underneath it.
Oh my God.
I remember every bump going to that hospital. I get to the hospital. My surgeon was out of the country at the time. The guy who they had picked to do my surgeries because he had some experience with my bone disease, which turned out to be not a lot. So this doctor came in. He's like, we have to put him in traction. And so because they didn't know when the surgery was, they didn't give me any pain medicine. So traction is where they put something to your foot and they start drawing it out straight.
Yeah.
So the surgeon, I'll never forget it. His eyes are looking at me like, I am so sorry. And he just started letting it go. And that leg whipped out. So I stayed in that state for 2 days as my surgeon crisscrossed to get back to the U.S. because no one would touch me back then with that bone disease. No surgeon wanted nothing to do with me. The thing that stood out to me through all that was all the volunteers who came and saw me at the hospital, played Candyland, Battleship, Monopoly. They made my times past them. But I ended up having that leg rotted. And when I got done, the leg was 2.5 inches longer. And they never thought to measure the legs after the surgery. What? So the surgeon goes, you know what? We're just going to, that left leg's bowed. We'll just break that baby and rot it. So right when they did it, it happened during time it instigated puberty early in me. So I was like 10 years old. So the right leg kept growing, at which point the left leg was still an inch shorter at the end of the surgery. So the doctor goes, you know what we're going to do? It was either that they're going to re-break both my femurs and re-rot them to get the legs even. So I'm like 11 at this time. Or there was something known as the Elizarov. You guys know what that is? You guys ever seen anyone with the halo around their head from a car accident?
Yes.
So if you look at my lower leg down here, they did that around my lower leg. And you can see I have over, I believe it's 27 holes.
Yeah.
Through my legs, crisscrossed. I've got scars all through here.
Wow.
The way the doctor outlined that surgery was very neat. He was like, oh, it'll just be like this. You're going to be walking. Well, that machine ended up weighing 17 pounds. My freshman year in high school, I was 14 years old. I weighed 95 pounds in comparison.
Oh my God.
So if you can imagine why I weighed 11 years old. So they, I remember I was kind of out of it, and they pulled it back, and my parents were like, my mom goes, "Oh my God, Jim, what did we do to him?" And it was at that moment, like I'm laying in the bed, I'm like, this isn't gonna be good, because like I had gone through that. So we go through a few weeks. I'm having to the skin gets infected, so I had to cut the skin off. Me and my mom were having to cut the skin off the spokes, doing lancing. I was going to physical therapy every day, like walking, range of motion stuff. And then they determined at 8 weeks I was behind track for the growth and the rotation. So they decided to do a radical turn and stretch. So my mom and I kind of knew it had to happen. Like I was already starting to show the mental effects. Not
Radical turn and stretch just already is.
And that's subjective, right? When you're in medicine, you never really know what the full dynamic of the words are going to be. You just have to hope for the descriptions are not always accurate, but this one was.
Yeah.
So they start turning it immediately. I was like, this isn't right. So I'm trying to get away. And I'm like, yo. So they get to the 13th. And at that point, I'm just like, yo, something's wrong. Well, at that point, they had to still do the turn. So you have your tibia and your fibula. So the stretch was stretching the tibia, which was torquing that fibula on the back end. So when you started turning it, I started trying to get away. Well, their response was to hold me down. So I had a grown man lay on top of me as they proceeded to, at which point they broke my leg. So I kind of, after that
Is there
point,
a lawsuit in that?
because of my brittle bone disease, the bones are what they are. It's kind of like
Yeah,
a
but
catch-22.
that wouldn't have happened if they didn't do the radical twist and turn.
1992 was wild times in medicine.
God.
Different world back
Different
then,
world back then. Like I go to the hospital now.
Do they
my
call
son,
it something else and have a different procedure?
Nah.
Or is it still something they do?
It's no. I mean,
Okay.
this is like archaic what they did. To me.
Yeah.
So after 4 weeks, they took me out of that. I recovered. They start getting me ready to walk. My very first step, my leg broke in half.
Oh my God.
And I remember that therapist, D, he was the first guy who was like, you need to stop being a sissy. Like while I was in therapy. Like, cause I would always be like, but in truth, I remember looking out the window. I was thinking about this to add this flashback. All I wanted to do at age 11 was die. I just wanted the pain to stop. God. So I used to sit there in therapy and I'd look out this window of KOC to this just gray stones. And I would just sit there and fantasize about death for 3 to 4 hours a day, every day. And I knew that wasn't normal, but you don't talk to anybody about that.
I mean, you're
'cause
11.
You're a kid, right? So he put his hand on my shoulder though. He says, I'll see you soon. And so they had to go and fix my bone. And then I had breaking it again later. And then they had to put a plate over it. And by freshman year, I was actually able to walk into high school. So I'd missed pretty much from 3rd grade all the way through 8th grade. I was homeschooled and then was able to walk back in.
God, that is so hard.
Yeah, it was a wild.
What was high school like?
So my parents sent me to Knoxville Catholic High because smaller, I was homeschooled. I only had 3 hours of school a day. 3rd, 4th, yeah, I know it was amazing. Yeah. But when you get to school and you realize you have to sit in a chair all day and focus, and your day is no longer getting the hell beaten out of you in physical therapy, it's getting the hell beaten out of you by teachers. It's really different set. So school was hard for me, but it wasn't bad, but I got bullied.
What?
So I was because I was short.
Small, I get it.
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, no, I mean,
high school,
Kids are so mean.
my
Oh, you have a
son's
bone
kinda
disease?
going through it.
Doesn't matter. You're short.
Yeah, but you know, the one-
Idiot.
Nobody knows that.
Yeah, but
like
the
he's
dummy
walking
is-
around like,
I
hey
mean,
guys, real
I wanted
quick.
to blend in. See, that was the whole
Right.
thing. I wanted nothing more than to be normal.
Yeah.
Like, so I've seen a very interesting thing. I've seen how society judges me as a skinny cripple, what they would view me as. And I've seen what society would judge me by a roided meathead. And I can tell you that both eyes are still the same judgment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get bullied, and then
But you're such a cool dude.
I
They
probably
were
wasn't
missing
then.
out.
I played Dungeons and Dragons. I
That's
was on all
cool
sorts
to
of
me.
weird stuff.
Hey, that's what my brother did.
Hey, Dungeons and Dragons is
And
good stuff. I definitely think it helped.
what you like is what you like. There's people out there who like the same things.
But there was this kid, JC, he broke into my locker, and one day in history class, I put my glasses on. And right when I put them on, the kids started giggling, and it says short and crippled. And they had
On your
taped
glasses?
it on my glasses.
Oh,
So I
wow.
put my glasses on to see. That's what I saw. So later that day, I went to the
makes me
gym.
wanna cry.
And I was going on the leg press, and I decided to put extra plate on. I was being dumb. And I came down. I couldn't stop it, and it hairline fractured me left to right across my pelvis.
How many times is this now?
I've broken every bone in my body.
Like multiple times.
Yeah, a lot. And it was the first time I stood up to my mom a little bit, because I actually, a few days after that, when that happened on a Thursday, I walked into school Monday. With a hairline fractured pelvis. I just didn't care. And then he left me alone for a little bit. And then a very interesting thing happened. He kept jaw jacking me. And then one day he got up right across from me, distance from me to you, and he looked at me and goes, "You're just a cripple." So I got up right behind him. He goes up to the board, do a math problem. I just start hitting him in the face. Just
Good
start
for you,
wailing on
honestly.
him. And the teacher gets between us, and I'm like hitting over him. Get to the principal's office, and it was the first time I ever looked at another man and realized I had hurt him. And I felt really crappy about it.
Of course you did.
Because you know what I mean? Like, I
'Cause
could
you had
see,
been
like,
bullied by this
it had been
person.
a point where I was like, wow, I really took that from him. My mom came in with her gigantic dark glasses, and I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I'm dead. So she gets me in the car. She doesn't really say much. We get to Charlie's. And then she asked me why I did it. I said, well, you called me cripple. She goes, well, at least you stood up for yourself.
I'm with mom on that.
I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, sweet. I had 3 days suspension. Like, I'm like, cool. I'll just go listen to some Pantera and just hang out at the house, play some guitar, you know? And she had to go to the grocery store. So I always used to go to read the guitar magazines. I've been playing since I was 9, die hard into metal.
Oh, we should jam.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot play probably the same things you do, but
We'll try. And for whatever reason, I just walked by and this like thing caught my eye, and it was a Flex magazine cover. And I remember just being like, oh my God, if you could look like that, because I was in like a fitness gym, like a athletic club. I didn't see guys who looked like that. I saw average
older
Joes and
guys,
Jans who ran a lot and wore things that matched. And I got it. And my mom was like, hey, you can get it, I guess. And then after that, I just turned completely on to bodybuilding. I put on 20 pounds that summer and just kept going and going and going with it. And I never looked back after that.
So I was waiting to ask you, but I was going to ask you that did all of the physical therapy, is that how you got into fitness? But it was.
Yes. So my mom was a little ahead of her time. She was very much into like, hey, you're not going to be able to like take care of yourself. You need to have upper body strength. You should learn how to do this, do that. So she would encourage the therapist to teach me how to do like curls, chest presses. So they actually got me into the gym over there while I was working out at it and walked me through and built me a routine. I was just doing different things that they didn't want me to do. And then once I found bodybuilding, I was like, well, the hell with that. I'm going to do this over here because this is what got Ronnie Coleman, huge. So immediately after that, I was set forth on it.
Do you think, because something that you told me kind of caught my attention, as far as mindset goes, and I know sometimes, intentions are pure, but verbally we may not express them. And I'll just say it, instead of saying the way you say it, I'll say it as when the physical therapist told that you need to get your mind right. Do you think that's what he was trying to tell you? Like, yo, your life is not going to be easy, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing right now is trying to prepare you for what your future is going to look like. Now, you can lay here and quit and die, or we can go through some hard work and you can live a regular life like everybody else. Like, looking back on it now, I know it's the vision of it is probably different at 11 or 8 or whatever age you were when he said that. But looking back on that now, do you think that's kind of where he was at with it, or do you think he was just being a jerk?
No, actually, I do think he was there. I think the reason I listened to him is because I really liked the baseball coach mentality, the way he pushed me. He didn't treat me different. He knew I had this disease. I still was catcher.
he was not treating you like anyone
he didn't
else.
treat me. I decided to run the drills, still did everything, still earned my spot. When D had talked to me and said, I'll see you soon, and he pushed me in therapy and had been like, hey, you can't be like this, you can't be like that. He was just giving me advice and maturity and wisdom for what was going to happen. And, I think it set in with him when that broke in front of him that this is going to be just what life is.
This is your life. Yeah.
And I think that was a fair thing.
This isn't going to be the last time you do this. Yeah.
I thank him forever for that because that mentality turned the key back on.
Love it.
Where I'd gone from, being fearless, going down that hill to full of fear. And then having to come back out of that.
Go back to fearless. Do you feel like you still kind of have that mentality now? Like, this is our first time really having to sit down and chat. Is that mentality still in you? Like, is it completely fearless, or like, especially now
I'm almost too extreme.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, how can it not be? Because if you can't see the man, you should take a good hard look. He's built. I mean, he's a bodybuilder, but I imagine that was not the same experience as other bodybuilders, where it's just like I don't think people even think about, it's just like, I'm going to do my routine. But you probably, like, did you have to take extra precautions in order to like how did training go after physical?
I trained full on like they did.
Nice.
And so an interesting thing, my mom was ahead of the curve. I talked about this in my book. Scribe actually wanted me to keep it out of my book. When I was 13, she got me on human growth hormone.
Okay.
So she had read it because she was deathly afraid of me being short. Surprise, Mom, if you're still watching, I'm 5'2". It didn't help.
Didn't work.
Did not work. But what she noticed was I stopped fracturing.
Yeah.
Like everyone around me noticed that. It was like there was that period there where I really made ground in physical therapy. And no one put their mind around it because it was 1993, GH was new. So I think that gave me the no fear approach, and I was used to thinking outside the box already. So going into that, I did not see any difference between why I wouldn't do what they were doing versus needing to modify it for myself.
Okay,
I
good.
look back on it now and I actually realize like how I had a conversation with a therapist on our podcast a couple weeks ago, and I told him, I said, after I wrote that book, I was able to lay down my sword against myself. And I said, when I go through that book and I go through all the times I worked out, I think about what it really took of me, where I really had to go, how much self-hate I had to hold on to, how much hatred of everybody else I had to hold on to be able to do the things I did in the gym. It came down to a simple fact. I didn't love myself at all. And I didn't care. Because in order to get to the way I look, it was not through means that people with a brittle bone disease should do. And that's something like when I talk to the kids, my brittle bone disease, I'm very honest. Like, I don't think I would have gotten here if it wasn't for that nasty chip on my shoulder, that all the doubt, all the stuff. But most importantly, the truth is I didn't love myself enough, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah. What is your process like? 'Cause I heard you talk about your son. I don't know if this is hereditary or not.
It's genetic.
It's genetic. Does your son have it as well?
My oldest one does not. My youngest one does.
Okay. What is your approach with him?
Yeah.
Him
Or
do
with
his thing.
or with both of them?
So my oldest one did anything he wanted. He just didn't like sports.
Right, but the mentality approach, like, did you okay, your wife, I'm assuming, before your son is born, what were, because I was going to ask you after the fear question, what were your thoughts then? Like, because now all right, we know it's genetics, and if your youngest son has it, like, what am I going to instill in him so that he knows that the next 40, 50, 80 years is not going to be easy. You're going to need something, because and
you bent the rules too,
Yeah.
that like they were telling you one thing and you did something else, and not always did that work out, but a lot of the times it did.
100%.
So,
but I'm a strong advocate of mindset, and sometimes you need a chip on your shoulder. My coach used to tell me, you play better when you're pissed off.
Yeah.
When you have a chip on your shoulder.
Glad you
right?
said that. I agree.
Michael Jordan used to make up things about people.
Yep, slice
Say,
people
right?
and
This
say-
is like just one little thing. Oh, Sav thinks she can play the guitar. Bet. You know what I mean? It's just,
You're
like
like,
that was his thing. He would just
Yeah.
get mad, and because he knows when he's in that zone, nobody can stop him. And so, wow, like now, maturity is saying like, yo, it boils down to I didn't love myself.
Right.
But it also is the reason for your drive. Like, without that chip, you're not this person right here.
100%.
So
Yeah.
it's that double-edged sword, right?
well, if you're happy, why do you need to
See,
change?
that's the whole thing I say.
Yeah.
I've always been happy with it. I had to go through a lot of counseling to get happy with that.
Yeah.
I had to go through a lot of counseling to get to the point where I could realize I didn't love myself enough.
Right.
A lot of counseling goes into being a better leader and a better father to my son, to be able
Yeah.
to say, hey, this has been my journey. He's read my book and been like, I don't want you to have my journey. He wants to be a producer. He loves rap music. He wants
Yeah.
to produce all that. He's into working out. He knows he needs to take care of himself.
Yeah.
But it's not like the drive that I have.
Is it
Completely
a
different
forced
stuff.
thing from dad, like saying, hey, no, you have to work out
Yes, I
because
do
you're
tell him
going
that.
at some point, like your mom, like you said, you need to be, you're gonna take care of yourself someday. At
I
some
do.
point.
I've been
and
very
or
honest.
family, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to, like, working out isn't an option for you.
Yeah, I tell them all the time. I'm like, we know through science and research that weight training stimulates bone.
Yeah, strengthens the
You're going
bones,
to
yeah.
have to keep doing that. And sorry, you don't get to sit around and eat Twinkies and ho-hos and not work out all day. This is
Yeah.
going to be what you really have to do and really embrace. And he's done really good with it.
Good.
Like, we just had surgery back in July. They had to put screws in below his knees and above his ankles because his tibula and fibulas were kind of healing a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was back into the gym in the garage within a week, working on his squats and just riding the bike and just trying to get to it because he wanted to fit back in with school. So
Now,
for him, it's just to be able to blend in and have a normal experience.
Yeah.
How vocal are you with like the doctors and everything like that? Because again, you have lived experience. So now they're saying, well, we need to. You're like, no, we're not, because so like or do you just kind of sit back, and let them do their thing?
Believe it or not, Terry knows this because we had talked to him. But back in February, I held a seminar where we raised money to seed funding for Dr. Martis here in Nashville. So Vanderbilt is one of the leading hospitals in the world for OI research, for
Wow.
osteogenesis imperfecta. Dr. Martis is the doctor over there who sees all the kids for like OI. So it's Nashville, Omaha, and Montreal are the three hot spots. I'm very, very lucky that he is a doctor that wasn't like I had, who were just like, this is what we're doing. I say so.
Yeah.
You know, he, like before the surgery, he was like, you know, I think things have changed. Let's re-x-ray him. Do you mind? I'm like, no. So we walked up in this elevator. He's chatting with us and re-x-rayed him, remeasured him, brought another doctor. And I was like, wow, this was so collaborative. It was cool to see. But no, to answer your question, I don't have that because I believe totally and 100% in the care my son has. But with that being said, I shopped around to make sure I found the care that my son needed. And I made sure I had the questions or asked those questions. And I do think that's the one thing that we often in the health and fitness industry say, hey, screw off doctors. We don't, care about you, But I really think it's a matter of learning to find the doctors. Like dating.
There are good ones.
Yeah, it's like
they
dating.
exist.
You got to date around. You got to ask those questions, like And I think if they're willing to hear you and hear what you're about, then that's
There
the
are
right
doctors
fit
who
for you.
care. My brother had he had a brain injury, so there were a ton of doctors that we went through. And they would just, if they didn't know, they didn't say it. And so like we were trying to be like, okay, there's no good doctors. But the one came along who really cared and really made a difference. One neurologist that like actually diagnosed him with what he had, multiple temporal lobe sclerosis. But yeah, I mean, like there are bad doctors, just like there are bad trainers, bad any career field, but there are good ones that exist too.
Let's talk a little bit more about this after we take this quick break.
Life's too short to be stressed, and your body deserves the best. That's where Squeeze Massage in Brentwood, Tennessee comes in. Picture a massage experience that's not just relaxing, but truly tailored to you. At Squeeze, we've got your back, literally, with a way better massage experience designed to make you feel your absolute best. From the moment you book through our easy-to-use app, you'll notice the difference. Customize your massage, manage your preferences, and enjoy hassle-free tipping all in just a few taps. Our licensed therapists are pros at helping you unwind, de-stress, and rejuvenate, making every visit a luxurious escape. So why wait? Treat yourself to the ultimate in self-care. Visit squeezemassage.com to book your appointment today and experience the perfect blend of luxury, convenience, and personalization. Squeeze Massage in Brentwood, Tennessee, because you deserve nothing less.
As we are back from that quick break, and before we jump into stretch your intellect,
I don't even know if it's a question. It's just what stood out to me is when you were younger and you said you were fantasizing about death, like you were having suicidal thoughts. And it makes me think about like, what we're putting out is information, right? We're putting out a testimonial. And this is your story. You've lived it. That drive got you to somewhere, that chip on your shoulder, and I'm thinking about my brother, but I'm also thinking about other people who stop, and they give in to that, like, this is, and you were at rock bottom. You had these circumstances that were unfair. You didn't ask for them. Other people don't have to deal with this. And your future is just like bleak, So it's what stood out to me is that I'm sure there are other people like going through something where they're looking at like the gray stones going, I just want to die. This is so painful, or whatever it is. It could be, their circumstances are just, they don't have parents or something, or they don't have money, or they have a bone disorder that's rare that, they're not getting the care they need for. So it's just what made you, was there any kind of moment that you were like, no, I have to keep going? Or was it the support you had around you, like your mom? Or like, do you feel like if anything had gone differently, you would have actually like, done something? Or
I was self-harming myself, like, because when the pain would stop, I just I associated pain with progress. That was the deadly thing that D had done to me did to
Yeah.
me when he was like, you got to keep pushing, because there was no off at that point. It was just go, 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 go. So everything had to be lit afire. It wasn't until I tried to take my life when I was 32. And then after that, I got into discovering psychedelics, which really did, with therapy, is what was the turnkey operation for me.
Cool.
Because I, in the 80s and 90s, mental health wasn't talked about.
Right.
They never ever screened me. They never talked to me. I don't even think I could have formed at those young age what I really wanted to do to myself or what I really didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have ever formed.
You didn't even know
like
you needed to talk about it or
right.
anything.
And
I'm
then I
sure.
got so hooked into bodybuilding, and that's bodybuilding is what it is. It's not pretty, and I went down that full tilt. And by the time I looked up at 32, I just a disaster of a personal life. And it was strictly related to, if I was in pain, well, you should be in pain with me too, Gerell. So I translated that in my private life, because we always had to be in this progress.
Right.
So one day I just didn't want to do it anymore. But then a few years after that I did that, I noticed a funny thing. I talked about it once. Suicide was like a friend that sat down with me on my like a bench when I was 11 and was just there with me. It was always this thing that just kind of kept with me. And then when I got to 36, it kind of creeped back in again. I looked at it always like a problem. So then I read Stephen Kotler's book called Stealing Fire. And he was talking about where in Silicon Valley, they were giving microdosing their engineers to be able to solve problems that they couldn't solve. And I remember being man, this is a problem I can't solve. And I was raised Catholic, raised, Bostonian, Democrat with the mix of the Republican from the South. So I was very much like, I don't need to do these drugs because I was raised that
They're
not
bad.
to do them. I was very straight
say
edge.
no. You were in that
I did
era,
not. I
yeah.
didn't even smoke pot till I was 33. I was I was all pro steroids and everything, but nothing else. And I gave them a shot, and they worked. But I tell everybody this because I see this talked about a lot, and I'm very excited. We live in times where these therapies are talked about openly, but you just can't do the therapies, the psychedelic therapies. You got to do the work with it. I had done the work beforehand. I had done the
Thank you for
work
saying
with
that.
pharmaceutical, but there was something different about work with
That's the hardest part.
psychedelics than it was with all the other pieces. And the only thing I could think of is I was able to sit with emotions that had bothered me before, but I was able to hold them. Rather than before, I'd be like, oh, hey, goodbye. I got something else to think about.
Right.
And it was the first time I was able to face them and confront them and all that. Like, I used to wake up middle of the night in my 20s with girls I'd be dating. I just wouldn't tell them, but I'd go to the bathroom throwing up because I'd have that dream where I was on the hill 3 to 4 nights a week, and I'd wake up drenched through my sheets and just, you know how to talk about that, like a man, as a man in your 20s, you're just like, oh, I just didn't sleep good.
Had a nightmare.
Yeah, it's that nightmare. Meanwhile, it's all the time. I'm not sleeping. Well, guess what? The unfortunate consequences, we're not in a healthy spot.
Yeah, it's
And
literally
so-
inside you and needing to get out.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I always want to touch on with people. For me, the work, I cannot not stress that enough. People say they do the work. I'm like, but if you really do the work, you're proud of it. And that's like the one thing I'm proud of. Like, I was proud. I dropped my sword
should
against
be.
myself. I look at that, my old self anymore, man. And I'm just like, whew.
That is
I
hard
didn't
work.
really care.
It's hard work.
That's really neat to be able to pull apart.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing and a good place to be as a man, but definitely just as a person in general, because we do harbor so many emotions and we don't necessarily have a safe space to let those out, especially when you're dealing with stuff that has nothing to do with your partner.
Right.
It's like I can address an issue that that I have with my wife, right? Like, no, you hurt me when you said XYZ. That hurt. You know what I mean? But when it's something like I've been carrying this, and even if I tell you, it's not gonna make any of this better, right? Because you're not gonna say go. You're gonna tell me, oh yeah, you're right. You shouldn't go back down that hill, right? But the answer is that's not the like. So it's like I know you can't help me, so why do I express it?
Right.
Right. So where do I find the help?
So I'm glad you said that. I gotta bring up something really interesting about my story, and then I know we got a little segment. I wasn't held those first 6 weeks I was born.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the bonding with my parents.
Right. That's a huge
So,
deal
you
too.
know how I knew I was really screwed up? When my oldest son was born and he would want to hold me, and I was like, why are you wanting to touch me? Yeah. It wasn't until 2022 that I did MDMA therapy. And a guy was like, hey, I can have you. I do it with soldiers. And he was in Nashville. And he had me hold a pillow. And I told my friend Robo, who Terry knows, I said, of all the psychedelics I've done them all. MDMA is the one that I promise you has the most potential to help a lot of people. Because until then, if you had touched me, I've been like, why are you touching me? And now I can have like my wife touch me, my sons touch me, and I'm not like.
People have no idea how
how
much
that
it
feels.
affects you, how your parents either nurtured or
They
were
couldn't.
inconsistent. Right.
Through no
Of
fault
course
of their
not.
own.
And it doesn't make your
So,
parents
yeah.
bad parents always. Your parents not, but that people do, but a lot of people still don't know how much that affects you later in life. And that if you don't learn about how you were raised and you don't have those conversations with your parents, if you can, or you don't have those conversations or do the therapy, because psychedelics, I have read a little bit about the research that they're doing medically to introduce psychedelics to like mental health and therapy. And it's really, I think, very promising because it opens up things in your brain that you have shut down, and you can literally compartmentalize it and block it out. Your brain will just block things out from your childhood. But if you do the work and if you like take the steps or do the right thing or take the right psychedelics, I really think psychedelics help you open up unlock those things. And that's when you can release it. But you can't move through the emotions if you don't unlock it, So I think there's a lot of people sitting out there in the world with these like traumatic memories stored away that can be opened up with certain types of therapies.
I agree with you 100%.
That's really cool.
That's the one thing I was glad, like, I didn't realize how much I missed that in my life because I didn't know any better until I got it given to me.
A lot of people don't know any better.
Nope, 100%. I agree with
Your
you.
parents didn't know any better.
Nope.
They did the best they could at the time.
Oh, yeah. My parents did amazing work for what
It sounds like it.
Yeah, no.
They cared. They did whatever they thought was right for you. And it's amazing. It's a testament to see it, like how quickly like we are able to like revolutionize technology and medical practice and move in. Like it's been, since 93, 94, like 30 years, 30 years. I don't do math, but long time, but not that long of a time, to see how quickly that's advanced. So your son has a lot more likely of a chance. You're already fundraising for a doctor who specializes in this. Didn't exist at the time, So I'm glad that there's more attention about it. Is it still the same percentage of people with the bone
it's roughly
disorder?
still 25,000.
Wow.
It's not very common at all. Wow. Not very common at all.
Wow. So most of the hubs are Nashville. You said
Montreal and Omaha.
Omaha.
the big
Okay,
ones.
cool. There need to be more.
Yeah.
Actually
has no federal research funding,
well,
to my knowledge. So that's why
it's not enough of the population it's affecting.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. But all people matter.
And
Anyways.
I want to keep going down that rabbit hole, but we have to.
I know.
We have to jump into.
Wow, what a story.
I know, right? Right. So many different avenues.
What
I
a
wanna-
story, yeah.
We
like,
should all go out and grab
we
bites.
should- we
eat
should.
I
some
love
food,
it.
chat.
I would love it.
Yeah.
Terry said, "Oh, you're gonna love Jeff," and I'm like,
I love
"Sweet."
Terry.
I already
He's
am
been great.
fascinated by what he's coming to talk
I'm
about.
curious, and maybe we can do a podcast on this, Terry, or you guys can find somebody, or you can come back and we can talk more
Can
about.
I sit in your lap next time?
I want to
Well,
find a psychedelic
no.
drug doctor.
Fine. I'll still come back.
But about the psychedelics, because I think that's becoming such a big.
I actually
play,
know somebody.
with that, like I know a guy that I follow on IG, and he swears by microdosing.
Yep.
Like he does it but like
I know a
I
therapist
don't know
who
a lot about it, and
knows
for
about
therapy
it.
that people will they will microdose you so that you can actually talk through those barriers.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into real quick, stretch your intellect, and these are just facts, Jeff. These aren't questions. It's not a debate. It's just a fact.
is where we find
This
out interesting
fact
things.
isn't necessarily I agree with, but I guess I see the point. All right, it's the power of mirrors. Mirrors in the gym are not just for vanity. They are strategically placed to help you check your form, which is crucial for preventing injury and maximizing the effectiveness of your workout. I think mirrors are there for the pump check.
I think so too.
I think that's.
I don't think they are strategically placed for form checking.
That's why I use them. I don't know about you guys, but
I don't really care. I know some people like care to have a mirror, and some people are like,
I'm in
no
the mirror.
mirrors. I don't care.
in the mirror. All right, Jeff.
I
what you
want
got?
the mirror.
Gotta have the mirror, baby. You got
I think it can help with form, but at the end of the day,
Agreed.
so do trainers. Hey, all right. You go.
All right. Women in gyms. Women weren't commonly seen in the gyms until the 1970s. Before this, most gym goers were men, as weightlifting and bodybuilding were largely male-dominated activities. The rise of fitness classes like aerobics helped bring more women into gyms.
I can see that.
I can see that.
It's also bringing more women to Nashville.
Fitness?
Yeah.
No, I thought music was.
Pilates.
Pilates is bringing women to
Well,
Nashville?
there's just more. There's
Oh,
there's
okay. I
more
was like,
Pilates.
that's news to me. I was like, man, is there a way women
Women
moving
love
to Nashville for
Pilates, and I don't blame them. Pilates is hard.
Yeah,
Have you done Pilates?
I have.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
Got my butt kicked.
well, that's an interesting fact. I'm glad it's not a fact anymore. There are more women in the gym,
That's fact.
intimidating weak men.
Yep.
Anyway, virtual training. The future of gyms may be virtual. With the rise of VR technology, some gyms are experimenting with virtual training sessions where members can, in quotations, work out in a simulated environment from mountain trails to outer space. I'm about it. I at first was like, no, but I heard outer space and was sold.
I was so down that you said I was supposed to look. How much?
I thought it was going to go like the online coaching route, which it kind of already like has taken that. But I think people are starting to be like, okay,
I think more people
I
want
want
in person.
Yeah, now.
I think that's
Yeah.
starting to rise again.
Yeah, I mean, I have some friends who are online coaches, and I don't know how they do their business, so I can't say it's bad or anything. My experience with it, I just like, there's no possible way I can give you the quality and the results that I can give you in person.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Well,
yeah.
Jeff, we like to leave our people with the last word. So it can be fitness related, it can be health related, whatever your thing is. What's one thing you want to leave us or leave our viewers with to remember Jeff Black?
Oh, well, first off, thank you guys for having me on.
First
Thank
off,
you for
before
being
jump in,
here.
I'm sorry. Make sure you guys, is the book out already?
So yes, you could get on my website,
All right.
jeffunbreakableblack.com. It releases Amazon November 8th.
Yes.
November 8th.
Can I pre-order it?
We're getting that all set up. over the
Okay,
next
cool,
week.
cool.
I'll let y'all know.
I'm sorry. Now you can go. All right, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we got the book in there.
But thank you guys for having me on. It was a great
Thank you
conversation.
for being here.
I really appreciate any time I can just have a genuine conversation with people. But I think most importantly, I'd tell anybody who's listening, don't give up on yourself. As cheesy as it sounds, always darkest before the dawn. But you have a white flag, and it should be your job every day to trample it. And that's why I try to tell everybody I work with. Just believe in yourself, keep your promises to yourself, and don't quit.
Love it,
Easy
man.
as that.
Love it, man. I am the Gerell Webb. This is my girl.
I am Sav.
And this is Jeff Black, and we're brought to you again from the Game Day Men's Health Studio. And we'll see you guys next time you press play.